All right, here we go. I am calling this Lessons from the Pond Project. This might end up having to be like a multiple video series because I don't know if you've seen my social. This is not, I have decided that I'm going to make a pond in my garden. Now, my yard already has a giant pond that Mother Nature has gifted us. But no, I'm going to make a small pond. It doesn't feel small to me anymore, but a small pond in the garden, right? Like a water feature. And because what I do for a living, in my usual fashion, I'm taking away all sorts of lessons for entrepreneurship from my efforts. So here this goes. And this is literally what I think about as I'm making my pond. So here this goes. Number one, first, foremost, always, just start. Just start. At some point, if you want something, you got to start digging. It doesn't even matter where. It doesn't even matter where. Like, just start. Thinking about it won't make it happen. Talking about it won't make it happen. Going to all the other gardens and looking at all the other ponds won't make it happen. You know, being on Pinterest and pinning all the beautiful ponds won't make it happen. Nothing happens until you take action. It really, in the beginning, doesn't even matter where. I had mapped out the outline of what I thought would work. It didn't even matter. It was so overwhelming, truthfully, that it didn't matter where I started digging. I didn't even figure out the best way to dig for this project until I was at least a third of the way through. The first third was brutal. You just got to start. You just got to start digging. Number two, social media makes it all look so easy because I'm getting a ton of information on YouTube and Pinterest. I'm getting so many ideas and inspirations and very, very important, how do you do this information. But these people will have you believing that they went from before to after in a minute and a half. And they make it look so easy and so pretty. And no, that is not how this is working. Like, their beautiful before and after comparisons do nothing to show you the experience in between. Your business is the same way. All of us coaches out there, all of the people selling tactical solutions for how to grow your business, all of the people that you're following, being inspired by. There's not enough social media time in the world. Even it doesn't even mean they're lying. It means like we're showing you the outcome. So help inspire, and the same way you're doing for your clients. So don't believe that the outcome is instantaneous. Here's the deal with my pond. I am 54 years old. I am 5 feet tall. I weigh about 125 pounds. I don't have the mass and strength to do half of what these folks are telling you to do. They're like, oh, just put this giant boulder right here. No big deal. I'm not moving a giant boulder anywhere. Your business is the same way. When someone who is much farther along than you, has an entire team, and just says, oh, just do this one thing, to them, it might be a simple thing. But to you, in a different place in your business, is virtually impossible. So yes, be inspired. Be inspired by what you see out there in social media, but don't believe that it's just all that easy peasy. That's just not how it works. Which kind of leads me to number three. Don't compare yourself to the experts. Get inspired by them, but don't compare yourself to the experts. Here, I could have hired someone to do this. I could have totally hired somebody to do all the work, but I wanted to do it. I wanted the experience of doing it. Is my pond going to be fantastic? Yes, it'll be absolutely fantastic. Is it going to be instantly perfect the way it might have been if someone who makes ponds for a living did it? No, probably not. Maybe. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted something that was mine. So don't get discouraged by comparing yourself to the experts. Yours is yours and theirs is theirs. I'm sure if I kept making ponds, I'd get better and better at it. But in the meanwhile, don't get discouraged by not being perfect. Number 4, you are smart and you can figure things out. This is what do we say? I am a grown-ass woman and this is figure-outable. I am learning how to do this one step at a time. Would it be easier if I knew the exact outcome that was going to happen at each and every step? Sure, but that's not how this type of project works. That's not how having a business works. That's not how life works. I just need to know that while the whole project might not be smooth sailing, easy peasy, I'm smart enough to figure out what needs to happen next. You are smart enough to figure out what needs to happen next. You can try a few different things. You figure out the thing that works, and then you take the next step. You're smart enough to do this. I'm smart enough to do this. I keep telling myself I'm also physically strong enough to do this, but that's debatable. But it also means number 5, your vision needs to be flexible. Your vision needs to be flexible. Things take shape as you take steps. The picture that you have in your head might not be the picture that ends up in reality. And the perfectionism of being tied to a specific outcome will stop you from taking any action at all. And it also makes your work twice as hard. And you don't want to work twice as hard for an outcome that might never even happen, because you really can only take one step at a time. And nobody's going to know, by the way, nobody's going to know if the amazing, amazing pond that I end up with is not the one I had in my vision when I started. And no one's going to know whether or not the amazing business you end up with is the amazing business you envisioned when you started. Nobody's going to know that, but you have to be flexible in order to avoid getting stuck for too long. We call it, throwing good money after bad, being stuck on this one thing working. My original plan had a perennial garden around it, plants that I could just plant and they would come back every year. But it turns out that under all the rocks that I had to get out of the way were more rocks and clay. Rocks and clay, and nothing is going to grow in this. Nothing is going to grow in this, which is fine, because what I ended up doing is building shelves in the pond that I'm actually more excited about, where I could put water flowers like water lilies and stuff. And I will just fill the surrounding area with potted plants. Right? It's being flexible. If I would have gotten frustrated that my perennial garden couldn't be part of my pond, what, I'm just going to quit because the original plan didn't go as I had hoped? No, that's not how this works. Be flexible. Number 6, what could be an obstacle, or what is an obstacle, could actually turn out to be a benefit. I see this all the time. For the pond project in particular, speaking of clay and rocks, this pond is 11 feet long. It's on average 3 feet wide. It's got 2 4-foot sections and then a narrow section. And it's about 2 feet deep in some places. And I think when I did the math in the calculator online, it's about 350 gallons of space that was filled with rocks and clay. I had hoped it was fluffy potting soil type material that I could move over and use for my perennial garden. But instead, not only did I have to be flexible, I had to move all of this clay and rocks to where? I had to find other places. So what ended up being a huge obstacle, because I told you how big or little I am. I did not want to be moving clay and rocks. But it turns out there's this other part of our yard where we're having problems with exposed drainage hose. This was very helpful to fill in this spot. The other thing clay and rocks are great for is holding shape, right? Creating pottery. I've been able to shape this pond literally as if I was making a bowl out of clay, because it's effectively what I'm doing. And I was able to take this clay and create the foundation of the waterfall. This would have been a lot harder to do if I had the fluffy potting soil that I was hoping for. So in the beginning, it was an obstacle. And in the end, it was a huge benefit because it solved a different problem we had in a different spot in our yard. And it made shaping this pond so much easier. So what starts out frustrating for you could really turn into be a huge benefit if you stay flexible. Number 7, use tools when they work for you, but use them the way that they work for you, even if you're not using them the way they're supposed to. Here's what I mean. Because of my physical size, and truthfully, because I may or may not know what I'm doing at this point, I find myself using a variety of tools in ways that they're most likely not meant for. I'm using a thing to do garden edging to shape things. Like I use tools very differently than as advertised. Who cares? Who cares? My boyfriend will come out, that's not what that's really for. Yeah, I know, but it's getting the job done. So who cares? If they allow me to get the job done, who cares if I'm using it the right way or using anything the right way? There's no one right way to do it. There's no one right way to do anything. There's no one right way to give a speech or use LinkedIn or have a client journey. There's no one right way to do anything. Find the way that works for you. Find the way, if there's a million tools at your disposal, find the way they work for you. And don't worry about if it's right or it's the right tool. Who cares? Number 8 is a hard one for me. This is a hard one for me. Patience. Patience. I am currently in a pond holding pattern. That's what I'm calling my current state, my pond holding pattern. A piece I need for the top of the waterfall is taking a while to get. And it's crazy how we think like Amazon should have anything available in the entire universe at our front door in the 24 hours, right? But I have to wait for it. And truth is, it's also raining a lot, like constantly. It's raining. So I'm in a pond holding pattern. And it's probably not a bad thing. I'm not in the physical shape that I used to be. And I have issues with my left hip. I'm old, right? I have issues with my left foot. And I have been absolutely abusing all of me with this project. Some things are just not going to happen on your timeline. And all the harumphing in the world is not going to change anything. All the complaining, all the frustration, all the worry, like it doesn't do anything. Use your downtime to recover, to revisit your vision, to just slow down a minute and take stock and be proud of what you've already accomplished. The writing desk I have in our sunroom looks right out over what's currently a giant hole in a pile of rocks that has some sand on the bottom. This is not attractive in any way. And yet, I love looking at it right now because it's showing me, like, look how far I came. Look what I did already. Take stock of that. I sit there and look at it now that it has more shape to it, and I'm able to visualize what's going to happen next. So sometimes the patience needed to slow down is not a bad thing. Sometimes the external circumstances that don't let you move forward as fast as you want to, it's actually a good thing. And so appreciate it, enjoy it, use the time wisely, and recover. The bigger the project, the bigger the leap, the more recovery time you need. And then finally, to wrap this up for you guys, you're gonna get dirty. You're gonna get dirty. There's no way around this. If you want to create something new. You're going to get dirty and you're going to get some few bumps. And if you're really, really excited about what it is you're doing, you won't care. You won't care. I did most of the digging for this project on the muggiest morning that we have had so far this summer. Didn't care, wasn't going to stop me. I took more breaks, I drank more water, I used more bug spray. I didn't care. So far, I've managed not to actually injure myself. There's still time. There's still time because I have to drill a hole in the garage wall to get a power cord through. So there'll be more power tools. But if you're scared to get dirty, if you're scared to take a few bumps, you're going to have a real hard time as an entrepreneur. I say it this way: what do you want and how bad do you want it? Because it's not necessarily more work, it can be scarier work. And you've got to decide if you're cut out for doing the thing that it is that you want to be doing. Because out of everything, one of the things I've learned most about entrepreneurship, as well as this pond project, resilience. Resilience absolutely has to become your middle name in order to succeed.